In this video, we will be reviewing the Eagle Odyssey Expert Advisor by Mr. Azil Al-Azizul. Stick around to the end to see if this is a real EA or just another MQL5 scam. This video is sponsored by Prosperity Algo and our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Do you want to make 100+% annual returns through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout? Then click the link in the description. So this bot caught my eye because he was discussing a very popular ICT style strategy, and it's not something which we see as often on the MQL5 marketplace, just because I think the demographics of MQL5 are a little bit different than the majority of the ICT demographics. So it's just an interesting crossover. So I thought I'd perhaps review it and see if the strategy does carry over. So here he's discussing the concept of order blocks. And to my understanding, what the ICT traders typically call order blocks are referring more to a type of candlestick pattern on charts, but it's often used to denote or to indicate supply and demand zones or support and resistance levels. And if we go here quickly and just kind of read a bit on what an ICT order block is, my understanding is that they're typically looking for a 2 candlestick pattern, which would indicate a reversal. And this is typically shown as a strong rejection off of a level. So you'd see like one candlestick, in this case, would be bearish going down, and then a strong bullish candlestick pushing upwards. So you're looking for reversal points where large impulse candles occurred. So that is definitely a very valid concept in trading. So here we can see it on a chart here from TrendSpider, and all these areas are like reversal points where we see like large, it's a 2 candlestick pattern, one which is either in bearish direction immediately followed by a bullish candle or vice versa. But effectively, you're looking for an impulse out of a level to show a reversal point. So this concept actually can make a lot of sense because effectively you're using chart patterns to try and find areas of liquidity. And order block, in the case of ICT, is referring to, at least I would believe would be referring to, if you were to traditionally look at the order book, there are certain levels where there's just a lot of resting orders being placed, like limit orders. And if you see price go to a level and then rapidly reject out of that level, most likely it's because a bunch of resting orders were triggered, liquidity entered the market, and then price was propelled in a certain direction. And my boomerang system is based exactly on this, where effectively you wait for price to essentially get rejected off of a key level, and this would be following probably a pretty similar premise. But we can go back to the sales page here to see if we have any more indication on how exactly it works. So it trades gold, another reason why I was interested in it, on the M5 or the M15 time frame. And effectively, once again, he's really discussing that this is an order block based system, and order blocks are a price zone, and this is where institutional or professional traders would have a lot of different orders, or there could be areas of resting liquidity. So all of which makes sense and is based on a strong technical analysis premise. And if we flip through some of the signals here, we can see that indeed it shows phenomenal returns like most MQL5 backtests would. And yeah, nothing is standing out crazily so far. And if we go over to the actual live signal page, we can see that this gentleman has been running it for a very, very long time. So we're seeing large signals all the way back from November, or I would say less than a very, very long time, but many, many trades. And it's quite interesting because a lot of these trades are also opening in clusters. So if I can draw your attention here, we're seeing that all of these trades open at exactly the same time and then close at effectively the same time too. So we're seeing almost like a almost high frequency, ultra quick scalping system. And some of them are taking a little bit longer, 10 minutes, but he's really opening clusters of trades. And I'm curious as to why he'd be taking this approach. It wouldn't be what I would typically associate seeing with this type of system. Like, it looks almost grid-like in nature. And we're seeing here, if we look at the actual, the equity curve, we see a detachment of the equity from the balanced line, which could indicate some form of martingale system. However, let's quickly go back here to the actual trades, and we're seeing that there's no lot scaling taking place. And what some developers will do to not say, hey, we're using a grid martingale, is they will increase position sizing by increasing the number of trades. So that's something which you can do as well. So instead of saying like, hey, we're having a martingale and that each time a new position opens, it gets bigger and bigger, you just simply open multiples of a certain position at a given point. So to scale the lot size, you just scale the positions. And sometimes people will do this so that you can't see a scaling of lot sizing in the actual signal page because it makes it look lower risk. But in reality, if you open like one lot position or 10 0.1 lot positions, it's exactly the same thing. You're just spreading it out to make it look a little bit less risky. And if we go over here to the statistics page, we can see a very high win rate at 88%. And if we look at the average profit over the average loss, it is good to see an inverted risk reward here. So that is typically what you would expect to see. But so far, like, it's looking like there might be something here, but seeing those massive, like, just clusters of trades for no particular reason is making me a little bit suspicious, but it's always good to give people the benefit of the doubt and actually go and run a back test to see what's happening. Before we do that, let's quickly look here where we would have had one trade in loss. We can see all of these trades closed at the same time, and one of which here was a loser. And if we look at the opening time, this one opened first. So that seems to make sense, actually. Like, these trades all, happen at the same time. This one opened first, but when it started to lose, all of these other trades were opened following it, and they all closed at the same time. So this would be, I think it's some sort of semi-grid martingale approach, but instead of scaling lot size, they're scaling position. So I think that my hypothesis there is probably has a higher probability of being correct, but let's run a back test just to make sure. So here I've taken the liberty of downloading our bot from MQL5, and I ran a backtest here. It was actually an incredibly slow bot to run. So I ran it for a few months, first beginning of 2024, but now just in the interest of time and to show you guys, I chose a 2-month period here at the end of the year to run a fairly quick backtest on. We can see here that in this time it made 53 trades where it had a 98% win rate, and the profit trade here is so much larger than the loss trade, which is a little bit suspicious because if we look at the live signal, we are seeing, yes, a high win rate, not as high as this, but yes, a high win rate, but we would expect to see an inverted risk reward with that. Whereas here, we're seeing that the loss trade is far less than the profit trade, which goes against what we're seeing in the live signal. However, what we can see here is that based on my expectations, there are some grids. So here we can see it's trying to go long, price instead goes against it. So it keeps opening positions and waits for it to turn around. But here we're also seeing it being limited at 3 positions, whereas in the live signal, it was taking significantly more trades than that. So 1, 2, 3, close, close, 1, 2, 3, close, close. So that's not exactly matching what we're seeing in the live signal either. Here we are seeing more, but it appears to almost be 2 grids because this one already closed before it opened another one. So it is kind of like limiting it at 3 trades, but once again, not quite a match of the live signal. And maybe just to run a quick visual backtest here, but first we can go into the inputs tab, and we're seeing that it uses a trailing stop loss, which would make sense for a type of gold system like this. And let us quickly run a visual backtest. Okay, and we're seeing it is indeed placing order blocks, which is actually interesting. So it does appear to be using a real system. That's quite neat, actually. I'm pleasantly surprised to see that. But I'm not so sure if it's actually triggering based on the order blocks or if it's just demonstrating them there. Let's look for some other indicators too. No other indicators. So it appears to be trading in a mean reverting context, but off of the order blocks. So here it's using the candles, the 2 candlestick pattern to define what an order block is. And then it's trading, I believe, rejections off of those order block levels, which is quite an interesting strategy actually. Maybe I will fast forward a bit to see what's going on. And it's not moving insanely slow in the visual backtest, so perhaps the slowness was more due to all of these like graphics, but I'm not quite sure about that either. So rejections off the levels. So maybe just to wrap up here, it does appear to be at least following a real strategy, which is mean reverting using the order block ICT concept. However, it also appears to be extremely manipulated. There is a grid martingale approach being used, but it's not a martingale in the fact that it's scaling position sizing, it's scaling the number of positions. However, the live signal does not seem to match the backtests. In the backtest, we're not seeing like grids open at more than 3 positions. But here, if we go into the live signal, we can see that it's really opening a whole cluster, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the number of positions it's opening is far more significant. And that combined with the fact that the statistics in the live don't match the backtest, it's not looking great. So to summarize, I would maybe wait a little bit longer to see if maybe the live signal like lasts for a few more months, but I'd be a little bit skeptical because yes, he does appear to be running a pretty interesting strategy, but we just can't assess if it's actually working because there is a bit of manipulation and it's not matching. So guys, take care, have a great day, hope you enjoyed the video.